All right, it's Thursday night, time for our Las Vegas Triathlon Club member spotlight. And tonight we got Stephanie Ferrante. This is great to have Stephanie on because she's a new member, new to triathlon, and it's going to be fun to hear her story. And it's nice before we were just sort of exchanging stories of being on East Coast versus West Coast, and so that's neat. So this will be fun. And we also have Mr. Bob Gamble here. How are you tonight, Bob?
I'm doing fine, thank you, sir.
Excellent. And Bob is going to kick us off with the official introduction.
Well, hello, Stephanie, and welcome,
Hello.
and thank you so much for being on with us tonight. And I'm excited to have you on tonight because you know you are brand new, and you, as I said in the introduction, in the announcement, you have made your mark with your energy and your enthusiasm, and everybody knows you, and you have taken a wonderful picture that's probably going to make it onto our, onto our cover page there. But
Thank you.
again, the energy and the enthusiasm you brought is just wonderful. So it's great to have you on and great to have you in the club. And for everybody else who is listening, um, Stephanie has been with the club all of 3 months. She joined back in April, and but actually did her first triathlon, the Las Vegas Tri, correct, Stephanie?
Yes.
The Las Vegas Tri, BBSC, in early October.
Yes.
And then for some reason went straight to the Pumpkin Man Olympic. We're going to ask her about that. It's like what prompted that. So then the Rage. So you've got experience with Boulder Beach and why they call Boulder Beach Boulder Beach.
Love Boulder Beach.
So and Stephanie has done two of our club races and done very well in them. So just to get started, Stephanie, why on earth did you decide, and how did you decide to take up triathlon? Tell us about that.
Well, I saw a commercial of the Kona Ironman, and I thought, wow, that looks like something I'd like to do.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and so I love the Big Island in Hawaii, and you get to exercise outside based off the commercial, and there was people everywhere, and I'm like, and of course the commercial had the music and everything, and everyone looked like, and I'm like, yes, I want to do this, and
it's like, that's me, I'm there. The start. So do you have aspirations to get there?
Yes.
Well, that didn't take much time for you to come, to respond to that one.
It's probably going to take a few years, but as far as, definitely doing the full, but that is the main goal.
And that's very, very wise. It's great that you realize that. A lot of people think, yeah, I'm gonna work out for about 6 months and then I'll do the Ironman. It's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Not for me, at least.
Well, John before I tread on John's territory, he likes to talk about your first triathlon. So go ahead, John.
Yeah,
some questions?
I love watching, I love the story of watching a commercial and then saying, oh, I want to do that. I mean, what was it about watching that you said, oh, this is neat? What's your sport background?
I don't have a sport background. I've never played sports. So I thought I could, I can swim enough not to drown. So I've actually snorkeled at the Big Island. So when I saw the commercial, I was like, hey, I can swim there. And then I was running consistently for a few years, like 2020, 2021. So I did a half marathon in 2021 and thought, hey, I can run. And had no idea about how hard riding a bike is. I was a kid and thought that, hey, it's just like riding a bike. And I had a lot to learn.
I love that. That's great. And that's neat that you had some running background. So after you said, okay, I want to do this triathlon, how soon after that did you sign up? And I'm sorry, your first one was the Las Vegas Triathlon?
Yes.
Okay.
So I signed up for Indian Wells 70.3 in March of 2021. So I was like, the Ironman's a full, so I'm just going to do a half. And at that point, I haven't swam. I didn't ride a bike. And then a few days later, after signing up, I went to the the Henderson multi-gen pool, and I just jumped in there. And well, first I had to Google how to put a swimming cap on with long hair. I wasn't even sure. And I get there and I jump in and I start swimming and I make it 25 yards and I'm like, oh my God. And then like
Now I'm
I
going to
just
do
had to like,
2100.
then on the way back, I was like, I'm not going to make it. And then I would just kind of try to go a little bit farther. And then a few days later, I went and bought a bicycle and I tried doing the bicycle and I was super afraid of riding a bike. I started riding it in my neighborhood. I made it down the trail a little bit. I was so afraid of cars. So I just kind of dabbled around with the bike and going up to the multi-gen trying to swim. And then I realized I need some practice. There's no way I'm going to do a 70.3. So then I signed up for the and this is a short time. I mean, we're just talking a few weeks later. I signed up for, I'm going to do Las Vegas Tri, and then I'm going to sprint, and then I'm going to do the Olympic right after that. And that's going to prepare me for the Indian Wells. Like that's just a few months before. And
Well,
then,
you're ambitious. We'll give you that.
yeah, I was like, I'm going to do this. I really didn't understand for me how much it was going to take as far as learning how to swim, riding the bike. There was so much fear with riding the bike. I ended up through you guys' page, I located Nancy Jones and contacted her, and and that was about August. So, well, I reached out June, and time we got together, it was about August. And she introduced me to, and by then, though, I am going to the multi-gen and I'm swimming 3 times a week on just doing my best. And I'm definitely making, like, I'm swimming an hour straight. Like I was doing it incorrectly, but I was able to build up to that.
Wow,
So
that's
time I
huge.
got to her, she started teaching me some technique, and then she introduced me to Lake Mead, where I started doing the open water swimming. I got to meet my friend Terry, who I train with all the time now. I got to meet some other members, and she showed me the bike paths. So then now I could ride my bike, actually, not by myself still, though. I still had to kind of try to find someone to go with me. I was still afraid of the bike, kind of. But I rode with her. So that's where I started kind of learning where we were going to do all the BBSC races. And then September, right before, I got clip-ins. So I started clipping in the bike. So I pretty much like started clipping in the bike and did the race. So it was.
I love it. This is such a great story for people to hear, is because, a lot of people would have given up. And so it's great to hear your persistence, that you still had this goal of doing a triathlon, any triathlon, and then let alone a 70.3 and even an Ironman.
And you still had your sights on Indian Wells.
Yes. And I did the Olympic. And after the Olympic, I did not feel that I had enough experience on the bicycle to like be safe. I just didn't think that I was going to be able to do that distance without running into someone, especially with the clip-ins, like just riding with other people. I was still very fearful. I mean, I was getting better. I mean, I've done the races, but I was really afraid of still the bike. So luckily Indian Wells they had gotten some new COVID restrictions where like you had to be vaccinated to actually be in the race and stuff like that. So they were offering to postpone the race. So I was like, yes,
yeah, that's me. I'll do it
next year. So I was like, I need more practice. Yes.
You've heard the saying, discretion is the better part of valor, right? And so that was smart for you to say, no, I'm not quite ready yet.
No. And I want it to be like, I understand that it's going to be hard and there's always challenges that come up and there's things, but I just didn't want it to be like miserable. Like I just didn't want to be like afraid the whole time. I wanted to be more prepared.
Yep,
Oh, that's
very
great.
smart.
And I think it's neat for people to hear that is that, biking is not necessarily an inherent skill. And so getting, the approach that you took where you said, okay, I'm just going to ease into it and get prepared. That's really a good approach and just a patient approach to getting those bike skills.
Yeah, it's very smart.
Thank you.
And speaking of the bike skills, you've
Yes.
ridden your bike, but what I want to find out, when the first time you rode the bike hard and then got off and ran, what was that like?
Okay, the biggest thing that I noticed with that, I was actually, I did pretty good with the bricks. Like it's, the biggest one that I noticed was the Olympic. Was after doing the bike, I had ended up right at T2. I only unclipped one leg,
Mm.
and I went to stand, and my legs were like a baby giraffe. I was like, oh, I'm shocked I didn't fall. Like it was horrible. And I didn't, but that was part that really scared me about
Mhm.
also with Indian Wells, because I didn't realize I should have clipped both. My legs didn't work, but I was so happy to get off that bike at that
Yeah.
point that I like just took off running. Like my run was really good. I was like,
Oh,
just get me
cool.
off the bike,
Oh,
especially at those
great.
hills on Pumpkin Man.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so now let's walk through your first race. So you signed up in essence in the spring, and
Mhm.
your first race is in early fall, September, and you started out barely able to do a one length, and now you're looking at this open water swim.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
750 yard open water swim.
walk us through the start of the race. Like what was going through your mind?
I was really excited. And at that point, I really liked swimming at Lake Mead. I wasn't
Hmm.
really fearful. So that catch it, but the swim has been my trouble every race that, actually it was fine, on Rage, but, the swim has been my challenging part. I think it's more of the excitement of like, go like, and
Yeah.
for someone that's never played any sports or competed in anything, that really like, I think really kind of shocks me. So for Las Vegas Tri, I was very excited to get into the lake. We go, and then I just put my face in and I start swimming, and then all of a sudden I can't breathe.
Oh,
And then I'm like trying to swim with my head up and look around, and I'm not being able to breathe. And I'm talking to myself. I'm like, you have to, like, you can't swim like this. Actually, you can, because I was telling Bob we'll have to talk about the my bad experience with the water, which ended up being a fantastic experience. This one of our tri races that we do with the club, but because you can doggy paddle a 750, but at that time I didn't think you could. So I'm like, you can't swim like this. You have to put your face in the water. So I'd put my face in the water and everything would just come in on me. And then I'd put my face back up, and I
Hmm.
was just trying to swim. And I did that about 3 times. And the shore was kind of behind me. And then the kayakers were still farther. And I just told myself, I'm like, you can do this. Like, you swim here. And I was like, I will not be saved today. Like, I'm not going to like be saved today. And then, so I just put my face and kept going. And then once I got around that buoy,
yeah,
like I was like, yay, I'm
yeah.
good. And I just kept
Wow.
going. So I was fine. But I
You know
did
what?
find out later you can roll over on your back
Yeah.
when that
Yeah.
happens.
Well, you learned real quick, and and just for the record, yeah, I don't know what the exact statistics are, but I would imagine it's upwards of 90% of everybody who does their first open water swim in a triathlon, you get out of breath in the first 200 yards because the adrenaline just makes you go harder than, you just think, oh, I can swim now. And it's like you learn quickly, you got to
Mhm.
go out slow,
Yes.
right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
great. I love the persistence and the
Yes.
self-talk of getting to
And
that
you
first
corrected.
buoy and then keeping things moving forward. Okay, so now you're feeling good. You got into a nice groove in the swim and you get to
Mhm.
the exit. You must have felt good at saying, okay, I got the swim done.
Yes. Yes.
Now on to the bike.
Yes. And I actually had a lot of fun on the bike
Yeah.
for that sprint. I am not the fastest on the bike, but I had a lot of fun with it.
That's
Yeah.
What
And
was
real.
then
what was fun about it? Did you like going down those hills or?
Yes, I just really like that route. It's really fun. I really need to start training there more often because it's really good with the up and down. And
Mhm.
then I think I'm like so tough now because I'm just like when I'm like going down, I'm like I get like 25, 30 miles per hour, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fast.
I love it, and
No,
that's a
that's
tough
cool. That's
course.
fun.
Yeah, it's great that you describe it as a fun course because it is a hard course.
Yeah, if you race and train on that particular course, and then the Olympic, and when you're doing that twice, you
Mhm.
know, yeah, you can go anywhere. And
Yes.
you're used to those hills, so
Yeah, we're
it's good
lucky.
training.
All right, so now you come down the hill back into T2,
Hmm.
and you're going to get off your bike and go on for the run at this point. What was that
Hmm.
like?
It good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was ready for I seem to like to go on the run. So
yeah,
the run was good. It was a little at that point it was like the dirt and then you went up the hill and then went
Right.
over and then went back. So yeah, I liked the run. Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
oh, that's good. All
I,
right.
Yeah,
I I had a hard time drinking on the bike though. I'm
Oh,
still
interesting.
still learning how to I
Mm-hmm.
slow down, but I'm getting so much better.
Yep,
right.
yep,
That is something that you need to practice,
yep.
Yes.
regardless of where the bottle is, whether it's in your frame or behind the seat.
Yes.
You have to practice it.
Mhm.
So,
So
oh,
finish line.
you are learning so much.
All the time.
So finish line was good and you felt
Yes.
accomplished.
And Nancy was volunteering,
Yeah.
so she actually she's volunteered for all the races, so that the all the BBSC races. So all of them, whenever I crossed the finish line, she's always been there.
Right
So
there.
that's always been
That's
extra
great.
special.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend at each one of the races that I had met through Nancy was doing the race also. So it was kind of fun because you get to, well, not kind of, it was super fun that you pass each other and see each other and you're like, hey.
Yeah.
So it was.
No, it is great, encouraging each other, and that does
Mhm.
help bring things along. So, all right, how soon after that did you already plan on doing Pumpkin Man at that point, or was
Oh
that
yeah, I had
looking out?
signed up both. Like when
Wow.
I signed up back to back.
Okay.
So Pumpkin Man was on the 20th. I reviewed all my little dates. It's
Oh, I
actually kind
like
of
it.
fun to see like the
Yeah,
progression of everything. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was on the 23rd. So it was like 20 days later
yeah.
that I did the Olympic.
Did
Well,
you slow down on the swim at all?
Um,
Did you know?
that's I think that one of the things that I'm not real good at is like I'm not this huge like number person. So I'm still right now like learning all my paces
mhm,
and what I do. But I don't think the swim, that one I was in my groove in the swim.
yeah.
I
Very
did
good.
well in the swim until the end. Now I'll have to tell you what a dingbat I was with that one.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I was really good. I was comfortable. I remember like even like passing people in like different caps because you're like, oh
Oh,
yay.
nice.
So I was doing really well. And then I was coming back in and I get almost to the shore and I look at my watch and I'm short distance.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh my God, did I miss a buoy? Did I mess up? So I start panicking. So I literally, not thinking that technology is wrong, I
Mhm.
literally take off. Well, at first I'm like ready to go. So I take off my goggles, my cap, and then all of a sudden I'm like, they're gonna disqualify me. So I jump back in the water and just swim out to the buoy and back to
Oh,
make up that extra time. So now
oh,
I'm like 5 minutes behind a
yeah.
good swim just because I was
Yeah,
looking at my watch
yeah,
thinking that like I messed something up. So at
yeah.
that point it's really in my head like I've trained so hard, I messed this up, they're gonna disqualify me. So I'm having to run up to my bike and I have a wetsuit. This was the first time I wore my wetsuit too.
Okay.
So I'm having to run up in my wetsuit and then I'm getting my wetsuit off and I'm like trying to add up to see if I got enough distance. And then I was just like, you know what, you just finish it.
Hmm.
Just go. You just gotta go. And I was like, let it go. Just let it go. You're gonna finish the race. So I jumped on my bike and took off and was the only like I was literally alone for most of that race. Like I almost cried twice because I was like, I'm all by myself. I was so happy like when I started coming back that there was a few people trickling behind me because I was like, yay. But I had some amazing people they were a little bit in front of me. So I was like trying to keep up with them on the bike. And one guy at a few points, he was like, come on, you're doing good. And so it was really nice. So I just kind of tried to follow them, except when I would drink, and then I would follow back, and then I would and then I ended up catching, well, I made it to the wash, and that was brutal. I was just digging deep in the wash. I was like, and then I almost fell. I had a volunteer at the aid station. There was a volunteer kind of standing near the parking lot over by the tunnels. And I did a turn, and I was a little too close to him, and I almost fell. So I was like, catch me, catch me. And he caught me. He literally caught me. And no. And he caught me, and I made it up through the wash. And then once I hit the big hill, though, I was good. I was like, oh, I'm going. And then then the run was fine. I ran fast. Like I did the run.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah, it was interesting.
This is, my goodness. Let's go back to the swim, because I don't know, through this story, what I'm hearing is, again, this word keeps popping in my head: persistence. And you're solving problems, and they're all different types of problems, and that's the sign of a great triathlete, is being able to solve those problems. And sometimes they're, problems that we never expect, not thinking that you swam the full distance and, okay, solve that problem, you go out and swim more. I love that. But next time you have a PR on your swim, right? Because,
so yeah, you just go to the buoy that they tell you to, and it's like,
yes.
and sometimes those buoys aren't, they put them where they think so they're going to be off. And plus your watches, everybody's watches different. Everybody's.
What I love about this is we all make mistakes in races. I've made plenty of mistakes, and so it's neat to hear you talk about that in a way that it seems to almost motivate you to do the race again, or to train a little bit more.
Yes, for sure.
Oh. So
well, you got some PRs coming. There's no doubt about it. You make mistakes, and you solve the problem, like John said.
Yeah.
And then you keep going. So it's like, whenever you will have a rare race that nothing goes wrong, and you're going to crush it.
Yes.
So what's next, or what was after Pumpkin Man at that point?
Pumpkin Man, the only thing it was going to be Indian Wells, and then I didn't end up doing that. We ended up getting the puppy Ginger, and I exercised, but I wasn't like training. Once I had decided, it was kind of like November. I was like, no, I'm definitely not going to be able to do that. And then I knew I was going to do Rage, because I wanted to, I knew I was still going to do Indian Wells. And then I knew Range was coming up. So, and then I saw you guys had posted, and you started putting your schedule out, and I know you do seminars and stuff, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna.
So I love this, and thinking back to with you starting, and the story of, the challenge of even swimming one lane, but now you're looking to do Indian Wells 70.3 this year. I mean, how can you sort of look back and describe how your training has changed?
Sorry, Ginger. Ginger, here, come here. Ginger, here. Ginger, here. Come here. Yeah.
I love it. Ginger made an appearance.
The Yorkies. She's causing the golden to.
She wants to say hi.
To play. Hi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's getting ignored. It's like, hey, Mom, come on.
Yeah.
Ginger.
Hey, I have a question for you. You did Rage, and then you did our first club race.
Yeah.
And then you volunteered in the second one. What made you want to volunteer instead of doing it?
Sandy actually had asked if anyone wanted to volunteer, and I hadn't signed up yet. So I was like, yeah, I'll volunteer.
It was very nice of you. We appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely like helping out.
That was good.
So yeah, oh, you've got your hands full. So with volunteering, what did you see during that experience that helped you in terms of preparing for the next race, or even thinking about your races?
You do a great job in the water. with helping people as far as like having them possibly count to stay back if they're not used to swimming. Yeah, I with volunteering, it's really good to see how not only do people just show up to participate in the race, but you guys help with information to help them for other races in the future.
No, that's a great point. It's all different types of people doing an event, from the front of the packers to, some of us who are just, mere mortals and just doing it for fun and completing. So that's the neat thing about volunteering, is you get to see that side of the lens. So I'm curious though, and thinking over the time that you've been training, how does your training look now versus when you first signed up for that first race?
Um, it's kind of amazing now because I'm like, oh, I have a warm up. It's a 600, for
Yeah.
swimming. And then like, oh, I have an hour run, and there's going to be sprints, and so I don't dread some of this stuff as much. Like, I think I was a little bit more afraid to do some of the workouts, where now I'm like, okay, I can do this, and I look forward to it. And before, I didn't like want to meet up with people because I was like afraid that I was like too slow, or they were just like, yeah, they were gonna leave me. And now I'm a lot more willing to meet up with people, and I would say for anyone that's new, still meet up. Like, I should have been meeting up with people and doing more earlier on, than I just baby stepped it so much.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's so important for people to hear. And I'm glad you let new folks know. It's like, yeah, just get out there with somebody.
Yes, just
And
show
it's
up.
better, whether it's swimming.
Yes.
And one more question about your swim. You started off doing 25 yards at a time, and then now you just mentioned, okay, I have a 600-yard warm up. It's like there was a milestone somewhere where you hit that you could just be relaxed in the water and keep going. What caused that? What was it that you learned, or what was the thing that made you make that transition to 25 stop, 25 stop, and then now you're doing 600-yard warm-ups?
A lot of it was just going to be honest, I went to multi-gym for months by myself, 3 times a week, where like I would just be like, I'm here, and I would get in the water with all these like amazing people, and I would just keep swimming. I would just keep at it, and that made a huge difference. And
as John said, your persistence is remarkable.
Thank you. And then getting to go to open water with like Nancy, and then now I do more sprints in the pool. So where things are more timed and I like really push it. And that really helps, especially for the races, because it gives you that, like, where you're like, sometimes I like still, when I'm really like trying to do a 200 really like as hard as I can, that helps me feel the same way it does when I'm like in a race. If I start like panicking, or you get the waves and you go to breathe and you get a mouthful of water,
it helps you recover.
Like, you're okay. Like, so because you've done it. And that's where you guys' practice races are so fantastic, because like this last one, I counted to about 2 or 3. I don't think I needed the whole 5 seconds, but I still was with some people, and I ended up really close to this one guy, and I could tell where his hand was. I was like, oh, my friend Terry in the pool got me one day. She was like, smack. So I kind of know what that feels like. So I kind of knew I was like at his hand. So it's kind of neat though to have that feeling like I'm okay, but let me get a little bit away from him. And and that's hard to duplicate. And especially knowing like the Ironmen are going to have so many people that like you need that like experience to know that you're going to be okay in that situation.
You need to get grabbed and dunked.
Yeah, like it's gonna, and it's funny when you're a new swimmer, you're like, oh, I'm sorry. You like bump each other and stuff, and now you're
sorry.
Like, oh, let's just keep going.
That's funny.
Oh, I love this, and Stephanie, I'm just going to really enjoy seeing you race each time and get more and more comfortable and enjoying it. It's been a pleasure having you join the club and doing the events and volunteering. It's really been great, and I am really impressed with how you're approaching this. And like I said, just this persistence in a real positive way of overcoming these challenges. So this is really a great story for people to hear.
Yeah,
But you guys
absolutely.
as members, like, I mean, the people are just
Yeah.
the community, and like the people are so amazing. I mean, it helps so much. Like you look forward to like the last race, I was like, oh, my friend Paul is working
Yeah.
up front, and then I'm like, Sandy's at the turnaround and stuff. So like it's so nice because like you go to these and like people like will have like ice and they'll bring water and so just for people just to help out and so it's just the heart of the people in like your wife Laura, like oh my god, like she fast friends, love her. Like I am just I feel so grateful and like blessed that I found this community. There's so many good people, like
Well,
so
it's
many.
great to have you part of the club and you're a big part of it because that type of attitude and enjoying the community is really what makes our community really, really wonderful.
Yep, and I'm so glad that you've become part of it. Seriously, really,
Thank
really
you.
happy to have you on the club in the club.
Thank you.
Well, this 30 minutes flew by. This
Yeah,
is
it
so
did.
great. And
Yes.
it'll be fun to see you at Indian Wells. That'll be
Yes,
a real
Yeah,
big
we have a Las Vegas
accomplishment.
gang this
Yeah,
time.
we
yeah.
do.
Last time, I didn't even know anyone was doing it. Like everyone kind of just like because that's kind of the end of the season.
Yeah.
So like everyone like just dropped. Like I was like, where did everyone go? So this year though, we have like a whole bunch of people. So I'm super excited.
It'll be a good group.
Yep,
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for joining us. Really
Thank you
great
for having
talking
me.
with you.
Thank
yep.
you.
It was wonderful. Thank you.